What's going on, Lions Den family, and welcome back to the channel. I want to first start off by saying I appreciate all the love and the support. Before we get into this video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and come back for more content like this. But let's go ahead and get into the video.
Walk it like I talk it, yeah, I walk it. Yeah. Flowers never grow without some water.
So we're going to start off in Daniel chapter 1, and we're kind of going to read through the book of Daniel over the next few weeks because this morning as I was heading to work, I was listening to it, and God had gave me a new revelation surrounding the book of Daniel, and he was telling me how he was trying to basically humble Nebuchadnezzar, right? And there was multiple signs. There was multiple ways that God was trying to show Nebuchadnezzar that he was operating in pride and ego and self-righteousness. And he was using certain things to try to get his attention. But oftentimes when we are operating in a place of pride and ego and failing to humble ourselves, we don't see what God is trying to get us to see. We don't understand what God is trying to get us to understand because we're so caught up in self. But in the book of Daniel, chapter 1, it talks about the choice young men. It says, in the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. That means he came in and he took it, right? It said the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, along with some of the articles of the house of God, and he brought them into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God, and brought the articles into the treasury of his God. So basically, God gives this land over into Nebuchadnezzar's hands. But what happens is when Nebuchadnezzar besieges this place, instead of honoring God, what he does is that he begins to make it his own, right? He begins to start to try to build his own kingdom out of pride. And this is where we have to be careful that when God gives us things, or when God is positioning us, or when God is blessing us, that we don't start trying to even overtake God and his vision and his plan for the things that he is getting ready to do or that he is currently doing in our lives, right? And so it says, and the Babylonian king told Ashpenaz, the chief of his officials, to bring in some of the sons of Israel, including some of the royal family and some of the nobles, young men without blemish, handsome in appearance, skillful in all wisdom, endowed with intelligence and discernment, and quick to understand, competent to stand in the presence of the king, and able to serve in the king's palace. He also ordered Ashpenaz to teach them the literature and the language of the Chaldeans. So basically what he was doing is that he was wanting to build him up an army, right? And he wanted a certain kind of man that he was looking for, right? He was trying to build a certain soldier, right? And so he put all of these things into play, that this is what I'm looking for. They have to be without blemish. They have to be handsome. They have to be quick on, learning. They have to be intelligent. They have to be quick at picking up things, right? Because he's trying to quickly establish himself in this land, right? And he's trying to establish himself, but he's also trying to build his kingdom the way that he wants to, right? And how oftentimes do God bless us, or do God position us in places and we try to hurry up and put our stamp on it before we fully allow ourselves to see why it is that God brought us into that place, right? And so it says that in verse 5, the king assigned a daily ration for them from his finest food and from the wine which he drank. They were to be educated and nourished this way for 3 years, so that at the end of that time they were prepared to enter the king's service. So he put them through such like a tough training, and they had to do everything his way. It was all about his vision. Pay attention to the way that he's moving, right? This is what pride and arrogance and ego allows you to do, is it starts to have you moving in ways that are not of God, right? And so basically what he's doing is he's saying, look, they got to do it for 3 years, but they got to eat the meat that I pick for them to eat, and they got to drink of this wine because I need them to look a certain way, right? And so it says that In verse 6, among them from the sons of Judah were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The commander of the officials gave them Babylonian names. Daniel he named Belteshazzar, Hananiah he named Shadrach, Mishael he named Meshach, and Azariah he named Abednego. And then it says Daniel's resolve in verse 8. It says, but Daniel made up in his mind that he would not defile, taint, dishonor himself with the king's finest food or with the wine which the king drank. So he asked the commander of the officials that he might be excused so that he would not defile himself. And the thing that I love about this is that Daniel made up in his mind, he said, I'm not going to follow what Nebuchadnezzar is doing. I'm not going to be in agreement with this operation of pride and ego. I'm not going to sit here and allow myself to defile myself, knowing the God that I serve, knowing who's in control of my destiny, knowing who is the reason as to why I am where I am today. I'm not going to allow myself to defile myself, nor am I going to disrespect my God by doing what Nebuchadnezzar is asking of me to do, because one, that's not who I am. And oftentimes in life, we often feel that we have to compromise in order to get something, in order to be positioned, in order to be somewhere, in order for things to happen for us. But one thing I believe that Daniel knew, and what Daniel is teaching us and showing us, and even what he's teaching Nebuchadnezzar in this moment, but obviously he's not paying attention to, is that you don't have to sell yourself short in order to be positioned, in order to be promoted, in order to be in a place where God can bless you. All you got to do is stay true to God. All you got to do is stay humble. All you got to do is know who's in control and who it is that you serve, right? And so it says in verse 9, now God granted, look at this, Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the commander of the commander of the officials. God granted him favor. Now imagine if Daniel would have went any other way. Imagine if Daniel would have given in. You get what I'm saying? This favor would not be upon his life. And this favor follows Daniel as long as he's underneath Nebuchadnezzar, as well as we continue to go throughout the rest of the story. But God saw Daniel's heart, that Daniel was not willing to give up on his relationship with God. He wasn't willing to turn away from the one who has been providing for him, who has been making a way for him, who has been making sure that he's good and that he's well taken care of. He was not willing to give up on God in order to follow behind this King Nebuchadnezzar, right? And so God saw that, God honored that by giving him favor with the commander. And so it says, and the commander of the officials said to Daniel, I am afraid of my lord, the king, who has prearranged your food and your drink. For why should he see your faces looking more haggard than the young men who are your own age? Then you will make me forfeit my head to the king. Look at it. He's more busy about pleasing Nebuchadnezzar because why? He's moving in fear. And when you're operating in these places, when you're allowing fear, when you're allowing these things to rule you, it makes you do things again that are outside of the will of God. And so this commander is worried about what Nebuchadnezzar is going to do to him when he don't even realize or even understand or haven't even seen yet what the outcome would be of Daniel not participating in eating the meat and eating and drinking the wine that Nebuchadnezzar has already prepared for him, right? And so it says that, but Daniel said to the overseer, whom the commander of the officials had appointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test your servants for 10 days. And let us be given some vegetables to eat and water to drink. Look at how God not only favored him, but God even gave him the wisdom and what to speak and what to ask for, right? And what to present to this person, right? Because I understand you're afraid. I understand you're fearful. I understand that Nebuchadnezzar has instilled this fear in you, and like how he did most people as he has overtaken and besieged this country and besieged this place. I get all of that. But I need you to hear me, and I need you to understand something. there is a better way that we can go about this, right? And so God gives him this wisdom and he says, you know what? Test us for 10 days. Let us just eat nothing but vegetables and drink water. Then let our appearance and the appearance of the young men who eat the king's finest food be observed and compared by you. So before you even put us before Nebuchadnezzar, test us in this and see who looks better. See what's the better outcome. And so it says that, and deal with your servants in accordance with what you see. This is a boldness. This is such a bold confidence of faith in God. This is not somebody who's moving in pride and arrogancy and ego like Nebuchadnezzar. This is someone who's moving in humility and obedience to God, right? And so he says, even if it doesn't work out or it doesn't come to the way that I'm letting you know it's going to be, then I give you all rights to deal with us in the way that you desire to. But he's so confident that it's going to work. So he already know that there is going to be no dealings, right? And so it says that, so the man listened. Look at this. The man listened to them in this matter and tested them for 10 days. When you're doing it God's way, it'll move smooth. It'll move according to his will. God will even make your enemies be in agreement. God will even turn the king's heart, and he will even turn the people that are over you. He will turn their hearts and make them listen to you, make them follow what he's putting in you to do, rather than trying to make you or force you to do what it is that they want you to do. And so it says at the end of the 10 days, it seemed that they were looking better and healthier than all the young men who ate the king's finest food. So the overseer continued to withhold their fine food and wine they were to drink and kept giving them the vegetables because he see, oh, wait, this is working. You are on to something. Maybe I don't have to be afraid, because he's probably thinking, you know what, maybe this is something I can present to him and maybe it'll even, give me brownie points in some sense. Right. But he looks at them and he sees, you know what? This guy don't know what he's doing. This guy, he prepared this food and he think that it's going to make them look like how it's making y'all look, but it's not. And so it says that he continued to withhold the food and the wine, and he kept giving them vegetables. And it says, as for these 4 young men, God gave them knowledge. Look at this. Knowledge and skill in all kinds of literature and wisdom. So they didn't even have to be taught by any of Nebuchadnezzar's men. They didn't have to be taught by nobody. God began to teach them, because they decided in their mind and in their heart that we're going to follow God. We're going to do it God's way. We're going to be obedient to God. We're going to do what God put in our heart to do. That's what we're going to do. And so when God saw that, God favored them, but then God also started to instill his spirit in them, and he started to develop them as men of God, and he started to position them in a place to where they can be looked at with favor from the king and from the commander and from the people that were overtaking and besieging this place, right? And so it says that in skill and in all kinds of literature and wisdom, Daniel also understood all kinds of visions and dreams. Look at what God does, and we'll get into it in the next chapter. But God specifically gave Daniel the understanding of all kinds of visions and dreams. Because one thing we have to understand that we may not understand right now in the moment, God knows what our tomorrow holds. God knows what our next week, our next month, our next year, he knows what our next season, our next moment of life, he knows what it holds. And so in this current season of our life, he has to prepare us for what's up ahead. We may not see it. We may not understand it. It may seem foolish or it may seem strange to us, but God knows what he's doing, right? And when you have a humble heart, God he can flow in your life the way that he wants to. He can instill in you what he wants to instill in you. He can position you how he wants to position you. And because they were humble, because they were moving out of obedience and respect and a fear that was basically an all reverence of God, God was able to do these things for them because he knew what they were up against. He knew what they were dealing with in Nebuchadnezzar and what Nebuchadnezzar was trying to do as he's trying to establish himself and establish his kingdom. And he's doing it all pridefully and self-righteously, right? And so it says that at the end of the time set by the king to bring all the young men in before him, the commander of the officials presented them to Nebuchadnezzar. The king spoke with them, and among them all, not one was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they were selected. My God, look at this. God made it to where he couldn't even look at the other guys or even select the other guys, to where he would have only been able to select those that God wanted him to select. Because see, Nebuchadnezzar, you think you in control. You think you running this show, but you don't even understand what you're up against or who you're up against. God didn't put you there so that you can make yourself great. God didn't put you there so that you can overtake it and then belittle people and talk down to people or treat people the way. No, he didn't do that. He put you there for a reason. But because you got in that position and you got prideful, he's going to have to humble you. So what he's doing, as you think you're setting up your kingdom, God is already setting up your moment to be humbled. And so it says that when the king spoke with them, and among them all, not one was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they were selected and assigned to stand before the king and enter his personal service in every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king consulted them. He found them 10 times better than all the learned magicians, enchanters, magi in his whole realm. It says, and Daniel remained there until the first year of the reign of King Cyrus over Babylon. Now this was the end of the 7th year exile of Judah, the southern kingdom of Babylonia, as foretold by Jeremiah. And it's going to get good the more we keep reading on. So I encourage y'all to keep coming back as we go through the book of Daniel, and we go through the story of Nebuchadnezzar, and we see how God takes him from pride to humility. I just want to encourage y'all before I close this out with the things that God is getting ready to do in your life. Stay humble, stay teachable, stay open, and stay in a place where you can learn. Don't think that just because God puts you somewhere that it means for you to dominate or to take over or to do what you want to do. No, continue to do the things that God put in your heart to do, and always ask God, God, you put me here for a reason. You gave me this for a reason. You allowed me to be in this place, in this position for a reason. What is it that you need from me? What is it that you want from me? What is it that you desire from me? Because it's about God. It's a God vision, not your vision. It's a God vision. So I thank God for this first chapter, and I look forward to the next chapter. But God bless y'all. God keep y'all and cover y'all, strengthen y'all, shield y'all, save y'all, and protect y'all as y'all continue to journey out this year, this new year, this amazing year, this blessed year. Keep your head up in Jesus' name. And as I always like to say, be encouraged, get inspired, and stay uplifted. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe. Amen.
Wisdom is for free, but yet it's overpriced. And I never seen success happen overnight.